So the Chiefs right now have a kryptonite, and it could prevent them from going back to back this year. Now, everybody has a kryptonite, right? Every single person has something that is their weakness. Me, for example, my kryptonite is Selena Gomez because every time I see that woman post on Instagram, I'm folding like a lawn chair. But the Chiefs are similar to me in that regard because they have a kryptonite right now. They have a weakness, and this particular kryptonite could prevent them from going far like they've been accustomed to for the last few seasons. Now, you might have clicked on this video thinking I'm going to talk about the Chiefs' lackluster receiving core of Kadarius Toney, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Justin Ross, Sky Moore, and although it's definitely not a bright spot on the roster, it has proven to not be a kryptonite because a year after they traded Tyreek Hill, they were the #1 offense in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes won MVP and Super Bowl MVP, and by all metrics, they were pretty efficient on offense. You could also consider the edge defenders a weakness on the Kansas City Chiefs. They lost Frank Clark to the Denver Broncos. Right now, they're really just employing George Karlaftis, Mike Dana, and Felix Anudike-Uzama, who is a rookie. Obviously, very important position at edge, not a strength, so you could consider that maybe a weakness, but I don't think Frank Clark was elite last year, and I think that that position group is going to be fine because they have a good amount of talent. But speaking of that defensive line, their kryptonite is, ironically, Chris Jones. And before you click off this video, no, I'm not saying the defensive tackle position is a weakness for the Chiefs. I'm saying that the current Chris Jones contract situation could turn into kryptonite for the Chiefs, and it could lead to some very negative repercussions. Because here's the thing, right? Chris Jones has made it clear this offseason that he wants a new contract. Back in 2020, he signed a 4-year, $80 million contract, and that contract is coming to an end. So like most very talented NFL players, he wants a new contract, he wants more security, he wants more guaranteed money, etc. And from all accounts, he deserved it last year. Again, he has been the glue that has held that Kansas City defense together for the past several seasons and has allowed them to go as far as they've been. Last season in particular, he put up 15.5 sacks as a defensive tackle. That is incredible. He was low-key a Defensive Player of the Year candidate for the majority of the season last year, and he knows it. You know, he knows he's him, basically. So he has been holding out, and he wants a new contract from the Kansas City Chiefs. But that raises a few slight problems. Problem number one is that he reportedly wants around $30 million a year, which is Aaron Donald money, right? I mean, that's like best defensive tackle in the league type money, and that's kind of an issue. First of all, the Chiefs have very little cap space to begin with. That's number one. So, you know, the financials of that deal will be very complicated, I think. And thing two is that it is a little risky to give a guy $30 million a year who is pretty close to 30. How much longer does he have elite play in him? Is he going to be an elite interior defensive lineman for many more years? Or is he going to kind of deteriorate while he's making $30 million a year? Now, even to give a good example, a guy, especially like Aaron Donald, I don't think is necessarily deteriorating in play, but last season, he missed a good chunk of games because of injuries. And I think the older you get, no matter what position you play, the older you get, the chances of injuries increase exponentially. So that leaves the Chiefs with kind of two possible scenarios. And both have their pros and cons. But because I want this video to get clicks, I'm going to focus on the cons of each scenario. So scenario number one, they pull a Tyreek Hill. They ship him off. They're not willing to meet his contract demands. They probably don't get the package they got for Tyreek, but they still get a decent package nonetheless. They ship away Chris Jones. Well, then that leaves the Chiefs without, by far, their best defensive player. Already having lost Frank Clark in the offseason, that is a huge, huge blow to your defensive line. And with such inexperience, you know, in your defensive backfield, a lackluster linebacker core, I mean, the linebacker core is decent, and a really inexperienced defensive line that's left, that defense is going to be scary. And not the good kind of scary. Like, scary. I think defenses in the AFC are becoming more and more important. The more good quarterbacks that get added to the conference. I mean, now the Chiefs got to play Aaron Rodgers in New York. They have to play Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. They have to play Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. They have to play Josh Allen in Buffalo. The worse their defense is, the harder it's going to be to go ahead and get back to the Super Bowl, back to the AFC Championship game. And I understand Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are great. Love them. They can't play defense, right? So if their offense, you know, is struggling a little bit, the lack of Chris Jones on that defense is going to make winning games a lot harder for the Chiefs. Now, I understand that Chris Jones was a second-round pick back in 2016, so ideally, just draft a guy, right? Just draft a new Chris Jones. A lot easier said than done. You don't get Hall of Fame defensive tackles in every single draft, and if they do, they normally go in the top few picks. You really aren't going to get second-round Hall of Fame defensive tackles once every decade, probably. So that's scenario number one, which leaves the Chiefs without their all-pro defensive tackle and by far best defensive player. But what's scenario number two? Scenario number two is that the Chiefs do meet Chris Jones' contract demands, which sound to be about $30 million a year. My guess would be 3 to 4 years, $30 million each, right? Then that also kind of leaves them in a tough spot because, like I said, you're paying an older defensive tackle, and the Chiefs are already kind of pushing it with their cap, right? They're paying Patrick Mahomes, obviously, a lot of money. They're paying a guard, Joe Thuney, a lot of money. They're paying Chris Jones now a lot of money. Let's also not forget that there are some players on the Chiefs that are about to see a payday, right? Creed Humphrey has been one of the best centers in the NFL, and he's going to get paid here pretty soon. So it leaves them in a bad financial situation to go get more guys, to go attract more guys. It doesn't give them a lot of wiggle room to sign any kind of free agents or anything like that. And the reason I say that is because this offseason we saw an opportunity for the Chiefs to go after DeAndre Hopkins, obviously for a weak receiver room in Kansas City, but they were unable to do that. Also, well, you could say, well, they have Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce's getting old, man. I mean, he's 34. How many more productive years do you think we have of Travis Kelce? I mean, the Chiefs' future is kind of in disarray right now. Obviously, you're banking on Mahomes and Andy Reid just bailing you out, which is valid to a certain degree. But from a roster construction standpoint, they're in kind of a lot of trouble here with this Chris Jones situation. And he's made it clear that he's going to hold out until he gets what he wants. So scenario 3, I guess, is that you don't trade him, you don't extend him, and he just holds out however long necessary to get that big contract. So it is very much a tricky situation going on in Kansas City right now, and I'm interested to see how Brett Veach and the Chiefs front office handle it. I'm sure whatever they do will be the right move because that's pretty much all I've been doing the past few years. But I will be very interested to see what they do with Chris Jones, how they move forward, how it goes down, everything like that. But I do think this situation has the ability to be at least a temporary kryptonite for the Kansas City Chiefs. So I want to hear what you guys think down below. Do you guys think the Chris Jones situation is going to negatively affect the Chiefs, or will it just kind of brush it under the rug and it'd be fine? If you guys enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Our goal is to hit 500 subscribers by the start of the NFL season. I would really appreciate it if you could help me get there. That's all for this video. I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. Peace out.